Hi traders, and welcome to the first edition of the daily recap show for the US session. And so we're going to start with the S&P 500 for the reports this morning, and we said that the S&P 500 had broke the key support at 4110 to 4125, but has since put in a potential false break signal. So if we could hold that zone of support and break above 4170 to 4180, we could see moves towards resistance at 4200 to 4206. And then potentially main resistance today at 42.99 to 43.09, although that was ambitious in the current climate. However, if we saw a sustained break below 41.10 to 41.25, then we had movements lower. So let's go and have a look at the S&P 500 today. Okay, so we have about 45 minutes left of the session, but we can see here that on the open, we open up around this 4150 to 4160 level, a little bit of chop. We did initially use the 4170 to 4180 zone as resistance, just taking out the overnight highs there before coming off. So we've got the liquidity grab there that we always look for in these markets. We then got the sustained break above 4170 to 4180, and we duly saw that move, the initial move to 4200 to 4206, where you can see there was a couple of reactions from there and there. However, nothing that I would potentially really look for from a reversal point of view, just because although it was minor resistance, we did have the potential to push higher whilst we was above this 4170 to 4180 zone, and also there wasn't anything for risk to reward purposes that was anything appetizing or appropriate back in managing into this zone, which could now act as support, which obviously it has done here and over here. This one here actually is a reversal of sorts, however, again, not one that I would necessarily trade. We have since, just towards the end of this session, created a little bit of chop. We use this zone here at 4150 to 60 as support, but we have just started to create a little bit of chop now. So whilst we're above 4170, 4180, we do still have potential to move higher. This move up is a little bit corrective at the moment, so we want to see a little bit more impulse, either to the upside or the downside, to really just learn what the next side of the move will be. I just want to show you on the hourly chart this false break pattern, which I mentioned in the report as well. Notice here we had this really key support zone at 4110 to 4125, which had held a few times, and actually, if you look back historically on the higher time frames, you'll be able to see that even clearer from support over here. So that was a really key level on the higher time frames, and you can see we broke down yesterday evening below that level, so it would have trapped people here thinking that this really key support zone had broken and we were heading lower, and then it put this really impulsive push back above that zone. Now that is a classic false break pattern where it traps people in and then pushes higher and closes back above. And you can see today's session it's been much more corrective, nothing really of impulse to the upside, so we couldn't get that real push higher that we could potentially have got. However, we have held above this zone, so this zone will continue to be relatively key, and if we start getting more impulsive moves back below that, then we can look for shorts, but equally at the moment we are staying corrective and potentially pushing a little bit higher, but we'll update those inflection points and those areas of interest in tomorrow's report. Okay, so moving on to the Dow Jones, we said initial resistance on the Dow today was at 33,180 to 33,230, with sustained breaks above there, showing potential reversal signal on the daily charts, with the first target at 33,440 to 33,490, with main resistance at 34,100 to 34,150. If we got a sustained break below 32,865 to 32,915, then it opened up moves towards support at 32,450 to 32,500. So now let's go and have a look at the Dow's action today. Okay, so on the Dow you can see that we had this initial resistance zone. We got a reversal of that initial resistance zone for a nice reversal there. Unlike the S&P, it didn't quite grab any liquidity. So, although this is a nice reversal pattern, in an ideal world that would have just taken out this area here, and then that would have been a really high probability trade that we could have taken. That came down and tested this zone of support, so we saw that initial resistance. We have seen a break above, slightly sustained on the lower time frames, but notice we then got this really strong initial push down back below, and we've actually just chopped around a little bit from there. We have now had a strong push back down and a strong push up, and it's just dithering around here. So we got a fairly nice trade off there on the open, but would have preferred it up here. Other than that, this zone hasn't actually been too well respected today. It's actually been quite choppy. So if you'd got long on breaks above here, then you potentially could have ended up with a losing trade on this one. But once you started seeing this push up, you sort of potential false break signal with a really strong impulsive move down, and then no reversal and the price is chopping around. That's when you really just want to say that identify the zone as not being as relevant as maybe we'd hoped for or we'd expected it to. So that's when you want to leave it alone. So potentially there was a chance to get long. There was actually a bit of a continuation pattern here as well for the retest of that zone. So you break up, retest, and actually with this one you may have had enough room to risk manage a trade, to get some risk off, in which case it could have been a break-even trade. However, there is also a chance that this would have been a losing trade with this really strong impulsive push down. So the best opportunities today definitely came on the S&P with that liquidity grab, and that's the one that behaved better with the zones today. Again, as always, I hope you've found this useful. I'm delighted that we've managed to bring in the US session to our key zone service. So I hope you make full use of these trade plans. Please let me know what you think in the comments box below. Send me an email and let me know what you think. And yeah, sign up to the Key Zone service so that you can become part of the Key Zone Traders community and discuss these reports with other like-minded traders and get these reports before the markets open. So I hope you found this useful, and I'll speak to you again tomorrow. Cheers.